Thank you. All right, so again, remember calculators and notes from yesterday so that this way we're all good. This is anybody absent that did not give me the extra credit proof. Okay, just checking. Okay, so use their notes from yesterday as a reference. It even says right here, we'll use the review skills from 2-4 day 1 with today's lesson. Take out those notes if you need them as a reference. So looking at example 1. Now, yesterday, remember, we talked about finding, like, we understand the slopes for parallel and perpendicular lines. We also recalled how to calculate the slope. We're going to do those same skills again today, but then we're going to actually find equations. Okay. So let's just recap for example 1. It says, what's the slope of a line parallel and perpendicular to line passing through points 6, 4, and 2, -2? So I'm going to label this as 0.2 and this is 0.1. So remember my slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that means the slope for this is going to be 4 minus a -2 over 6 minus 2. Now, again, remember, I just labeled this as 2, this is 1 because I just like working straight across. You can flip-flop these. You can make this 0.1 and this 0.2 and you will still get the same answer. So this will be 6 over 4, which leaves me with 3 over 2. That extra credit, please. Okay, this time. All right, so now if we're talking about the parallel slope to this line, what would it be? Who can tell me? Good. 3 over 2. Nice job. And what would the perpendicular slope be? Wow, this thing's really giving me problems. What would the perpendicular slope be? Shane? -2/3. Very good. Okay, try that. You try it on your own. Yeah. Why did you add here? Because it was minus a negative.
Oh, so you just...
Yeah, you just forgot to put the negative right here. So I just changed those minus, and I just changed it to a positive.
Okay, so when it's like a double negative, then you have to change it to...
Well, yeah, because it's like multiplying. So it'd be like -1 times a -2. So that gives you a positive in the end.
All right.
Show of hands, who's still working on this? All right. So who can tell me what is the parallel slope for this line? Good. Very good. And how about the perpendicular slope? Go ahead. 5 over 19. All right, questions on that? All right, let's take a look at example 2. So this says, are the lines represented by points below parallel, perpendicular, or neither? All right, so again, first step here, we're going to find each individual slope and see what we do, see what we find. So this is 2. I'm labeling that as 0.1. So I'm going to have the slope for this line be 2 minus 1 over 1 minus 3. This leaves me with 1 over negative 2, which is just negative 1/2. I'm going to do this again for line 2. Again, here's 0.2, here's 0.1. This will be negative 1 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. So this leaves me with negative 1 over negative 2, which gives me a positive 1/2. Bless you. So what are these? Are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Go ahead, Alex. Neither. Very good. All right. So give the U triad a shot. All right, what do we have here for this? Parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Who could tell me? Go ahead. Perpendicular, very good. Someone tell me what was the original slope? Go ahead. Negative 2 over 3, and that means the perpendicular slope should have been 3 over 2. Questions on this? All right, let's move on. So it says, find the equation of lines that are parallel and perpendicular to y equals negative 3x plus 2 and goes through the point 3, 1. All right, so now we're finding the equations of each, okay? So what we need from this is we need the slope. And the slope in this case is negative 3, which means the parallel slope is going to be negative 3, and the perpendicular slope will be positive 1 over 3. So now looking at my parallel line, so for the parallel part, what I'm going to, now you have options here. You can use point slope form if you want to, okay? Or you can use the slope intercept form to find that y-intercept value. The choice is ultimately yours. I like to use the slope intercept form, okay? So just remember that slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. I'm going to take the slope of my parallel line and substitute that in. So that's negative 3. And then I'm going to substitute in this point. Here's my x, here's my y. So this will be 1 times 3. And then we have the plus b. So this gives me 1 equals negative 9 plus b. And I add the 9 to both sides, so I get b is equal to 10. This tells me that my parallel line ends up being y equals negative 3x plus 10. Questions on where that came from? Okay, let's talk about this next part. So let's talk about the perpendicular. So that perpendicular line, okay? So again, I am going to use the same information here, but the slope's going to be different because the slope has to be 1/3. So I'm going to have 1 equals 1/3 times 3 plus b. This leaves me with 1 equals 1 plus b. So then I get b is equal to 0. So y is equal to 1/3 x. So here's my perpendicular line. Are there any questions I can address before I let you guys try this on your own? Okay. Why don't you guys give this a shot? All right, so what's the parallel line equation here? Who can tell me? Go ahead.
I got y equals 3/4 x minus 1.
Very good. Sorry. Minus 11. Very good. And how about the perpendicular equation? Who's got the perpendicular equation? Anybody? Go ahead.
Y equals -4/3 x plus 14.
There you go. Were we not confident in that answer because of the 14 or something? Or do we need to see it? Anybody? Okay. Oh, you need to see it? Sure. All right, so the slope here is definitely going to be, what am I doing? Okay, here we go. Slope is going to be negative 4 over 3 for, because it's the opposite reciprocal. So then we're going to have, the y is negative 2, slope negative 4 over 3, and then we're multiplying that by 12, and then plus b. So if you look at this, we have, this is where your calculators are probably going to come in handy at that point. I'm going to do parentheses, negative 4 over 3. I'm just going to multiply that by 12. That gives me negative 16, which is pretty nice. So I have negative 2 equals negative 16 plus b. I add the 16 to both sides. So I get b is equal to 14. So that's how we get y equals negative 4 thirds x plus 14. Okay. Make sense? Any questions? Anything else? All right, let's take a look at the next one. So example 4, it says find the equation of the lines that are parallel and perpendicular to 3x plus 5y equals 2. All right, so your first step here is to get that from standard form into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract the 3x from each side. This leaves me with 5y equals negative 3x plus 2. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So this equation ends up being y equals negative 3 over 5x plus 2/5. All right, so if we're talking about the parallel slope, that means that's negative 3 over 5 I'm going to use, and the perpendicular slope is going to be positive 5 over 3. So let's first work with the parallel line. Again, I'm taking that slope-intercept form. I'm going to have 4, because I'm using this point, 4 equals the slope, which is negative 3 over 5, and I'm multiplying that by negative 1 for my x, and then plus b. This gives me 4 equals positive 3 over 5 plus b. And calculators are going to help out tremendously right now. So I'm going to kind of review with you guys what you need to do here. Now, I know some of you have like you can put the fraction form automatically in there, and some of you can't because you have the black and white TI-84 plus, okay? I'm going to do it the black and white calculator way, okay? Because that'll be neutral for everybody. It doesn't matter what type of calculator you have. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, remember, I'm going to subtract this from each side. So this will be 4 minus parentheses 3 over 5, okay? I hit enter and I get this decimal. Decimals are not going to be appropriate. You need fractions. So hit math, number 1 frac, and hit enter, and it will give you the fraction form back. So this is telling me in this case that b is 17 over 5. So that means my equation ends up being y equals negative 3 over 5 x plus 17 over 5. So there's that. Okay. Let's talk perpendicular. Now I'm going to use the same setup, except the slope's going to be different. So this will be 3 over 5 instead. So this will be 4 equals 5 over 3 times negative 1 plus b. So I'm going to have 4 equals negative 5/3 plus b. I will add 5/3 to each side. So that's, again, let's bring back over the calculator. All right, so I'm doing 4 plus 5/3. So this will be 4 plus parentheses 5 over 3. It is very important for fractions, guys, they go in parentheses. Otherwise, the calculator thinks you're adding first. It just does a left to right, and you will not get the correct answer if you don't put the fraction in parentheses, okay? Enter. All right, I get a funky decimal, which I can't use. I'm going to use math. Frac, hit enter. Enter again. I get 17 over 3 as my y-intercept. So this will be 17 over 3, which makes the equation y equals 5 over 3x plus 17 over 3. Questions on that? All right, take a moment. I want you guys to try you try it on your own. All right, anybody still working on this? Okay, give you another minute. Okay, let's check this out. So we're going to have someone tell me what is the parallel line? Go ahead.
Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3/2.
Say it again.
Y equals negative 1/2x minus 3/2.
Very good. All right. Now, how about the perpendicular line? Go ahead.
2x minus 9.
Very good. Okay. Any questions? How are we doing with this stuff? Pretty easy, I hope. Yeah, it should be mostly review of Algebra 1, right? So just want to make sure. All right, let's take a look at this last one. So it says determine which lines, if any, are parallel or perpendicular. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get everything into slope-intercept form. All right, now this one is already in slope-intercept form, so we don't need to worry about that. This one's super close. Y is already by itself. I just got to divide all the terms by 5. So this leaves me with y equals 3/5x minus 2/5. Okay. Line C is in standard form, so I got to get it into slope-intercept form. So my first step is subtract the x from each side. This leaves us with negative 6y equals negative 10x minus 4. And divide everything by negative 6. So this will be y equals, reducing this will be positive 5/2x. And reducing that will be positive 2/3. So now the question here is, which ones are parallel and which ones are perpendicular? Good.
A and B are perpendicular, or not parallel.
Parallel, very good. So A is parallel to B. What's going on with C? Does C really come into this at all? Yeah. Oh, you're right. It is 3. Thank you. All right. So C is not really doing much, right? Because in order for that to be perpendicular, we'd have to have a what with that? Good.
5/3 would have to be negative.
Yeah, it would have to be negative. So that's not going to work. All right. That's it. Homework is on Delta Math. Have at it. If you have any questions, come see me. Those of you watching at home, have a great day.